Ascent Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Bosses, Coworkers, and Building Great Work Relationships by Harvard Business Review. Narrated by Rebecca Lamb. Publisher's note. This audiobook has bonus material. Please contact whomever you purchased this audiobook from to request the material. All figures referenced in this audiobook can be found in the bonus material. Introduction. The Two Key Ingredients to Great Work Relationships by Eliana Goldstein. I opened the email from my coaching client, Sarah, and could immediately sense her panic. Eliana, can we schedule an emergency coaching session? I just received a request from my manager asking if we could get a one-on-one meeting on the calendar. We just had one last week, so I have no idea what this is about. My mind is racing. Sarah was an ambitious project manager who had been working at her company for over 2 years. She was on good terms with her manager, usually excelled in her role, and her company seemed secure and stable. My gut told me her boss's request was nothing to be concerned about. Even so, I wanted to speak with Sarah, both to reassure her in the moment and to explore why this message triggered such a stress response. What else was going on? And how might this kind of thinking be holding her back elsewhere at work? As we chatted, Sarah shared her fears and thought processes. She was concerned that she wasn't being proactive enough in how she approached her job, and that her manager thus perceived her as unmotivated. This stream of worries ended with her being fired. I did my best to reassure Sarah that based on her track record, I was confident this one-on-one was not what she imagined. We moved on to discussing how she could harness her fear. If a one-on-one request was making her so anxious, she needed to create more stability in her work life. She agreed and reflected that at her core, she wanted to be more strategic in how she handled her career going forward, but didn't know where to start. Fast forward a few days. Sarah had her one-on-one, and instead of all the catastrophes she had imagined, it was a very positive discussion. Her manager was pleased with Sarah's work on a recent project and wanted to get her thoughts on a new internal team the company was developing. Sarah was even invited to help build out that team. So the question you may be asking yourself is, why? Why did Sarah, a well-respected go-getter and a hard-working employee, spiral into a complete state of panic when she received a simple request for a meeting with her manager? She's not alone. The truth is that for many young professionals, navigating office relationships can feel overwhelming and intimidating. I hear a lot of these stories from my Millennial and Gen Z coaching clients. Perhaps like many, you worked hard in school, figured out how to stand out among a sea of applicants, and earned the prized golden ticket. You got a great job, but a lot of high achievers make a mistake early in their careers. They put such an emphasis on getting the job that once they have it, they charge ahead and dive straight into the work. They focus on deadlines and deliverables instead of connecting and collaborating. Then, 6 months or a year later, they find themselves in Sarah's position. They've delivered good results, but they feel anxious and out of the loop because they haven't built quality relationships with their managers and peers. Here's what I tell all my clients. Strong work relationships are the secret sauce for reducing stress, expediting your growth, and even managing your career. You may have noticed that the people who tend to grow quickly, get the promotions, and get the raises aren't always the ones who are the best at their jobs. But you know what they are probably really good at? Building work relationships. It's surprisingly simple, and there are just 2 key ingredients. Building strong connections with the right people, being purposeful in your conversations, and asking the right questions. Just 2 ingredients, but they entail a lot. Fortunately, they're exactly what this book will be diving into in detail. Let's start with the first. In Section 1, you will learn more about how to build stronger connections with the higher-ups at your organization. This doesn't simply mean getting to know your manager, their likes and dislikes, how many kids they have, or what they do for fun. Sure, that's important too, but it's really about creating internal visibility and a value exchange with them. You want to build a relationship that allows you to contribute to your company while doing your job better, learning how to think more expansively about your role, and preparing for your next steps. You'll learn how to take the lead in these conversations in coaching consultant Antoinette Oglethorpe's How to Talk to Your Boss About Your Career Development. Another essential part of relationship building at work: quality connections with the people who are in the thick of it with you. Section 2 covers how to develop relationships with your coworkers. Whether work is going great or not so great, having a mutual support system to lean on is vital. You'll learn about topics like how to build trust when you are new to a team and how to make work friends across age differences. Another reality at work is that you're going to have some difficult coworkers. Perhaps they take credit for your work, or they speak to you in a way that you don't appreciate. HBR editor Vasundhara Sawhney will walk you through such situations and how to give negative feedback to your peer. Building relationships with higher-ups and your coworkers can happen in the flow of your day. But there's another group who may just be the most influential in your career, and you'll probably need to seek them out. They are your network, mentors, and sponsors. Regardless of where you are in your career, employed, unemployed, junior or senior, well-connected or not, developing your network and finding mentors is something that you should consistently be doing. Don't think you can wait until later in your career. Holly Rader's How to Strengthen Your Network When You're Just Starting Out offers guidance here, and Janice Omedeki will help you understand the difference between a mentor and a sponsor and why you need both of them. You won't be getting much out of these relationships, and really, you won't have much success building them if you're talking about the wrong things. So let's move on to the second key ingredient: approaching your conversations with purpose and asking the right questions. Purposeful conversations at work can be tough and uncomfortable. It's a lot easier to talk about your commute, your lunch, or how busy you are. Fortunately, this book has dozens of ideas to get you started, from what questions to ask your boss in one-on-ones to how to have graceful talks about politics at work. The more you engage in difficult conversations and the more questions you ask to better understand how your role fits into the bigger picture, the easier these conversations become. Before you know it, you'll feel your confidence growing, and you'll know you're on the track to being a relationship-building, career-growing, success-destined machine. Think of this book as the Career Navigation 101 crash course that you never took before joining the workforce. While right now conversations with your manager may feel intimidating and it can seem impossible to find a mentor, remind yourself that anything new often does feel challenging. Don't worry. Relationship building in the working world is a distinct challenge to almost everyone who is just starting out in a professional setting. This is because the mental muscles you use to build relationships at work are not identical to the ones you use outside of work. Accept that now, and you can begin building skills that will help you succeed today and throughout your career. This brings us back to Sarah. In our next meeting, we talked about the 2 key ingredients, and she committed to trying them out. She started by flipping the script and asked her manager for a one-on-one. Prior to chatting, she sketched out a career map for herself, one that identified short and long-term goals she wanted to work toward, relationships she would need to build across the organization to facilitate those goals, and ways she believed she could add value to her direct team and organization going forward. Then she shared her plan, listened to her boss's thoughts and feedback, and brainstormed together with her boss on next steps she could take. With her biggest fear at work managed, Sarah is happier and dedicating more time to doing her job better. Whatever your biggest relationship challenge at work, I hope the advice, strategies, and stories in this book can help you conquer it and put you on the right path forward. Section 1. Bosses, Managers, and Higher-Ups. 1. How to Talk to Your Boss About Your Career Development, by Antoinette Oglethorpe. Some people enter the workforce thinking their manager is responsible for their career development. They work hard, deliver results, and wait to be promoted. Unfortunately, this strategy rarely works. What no one has told them is your career development starts with you and is amplified by the support of your manager. To advance in any role, you need to proactively initiate a career planning conversation with your boss. This is a meeting you can use to discuss your interest in growth opportunities, ensure that your individual goals are aligned with the mission of the organization, and develop a longer-term plan to set you up for success. If this sounds like a lot of work to you, you're correct. Career conversations take significant planning and preparation. But in the end, you will walk away with a better idea of how to advance. Here's a step-by-step guide to help you get proactive about your growth and set up a productive career conversation with your boss. Ahead of the meeting, start by reflecting on what you want. Before approaching your boss, you need to have a clear understanding of where you are right now and where you want to be in a few years. This will help you verbalize your professional goals and create a development plan in service of them. Set aside some time in your schedule to reflect on your status and your future goals. Ask yourself the following questions. Where are you now? Think about the tasks you do on a daily basis, as well as any projects or priorities on your plate. Which aspects of this work do you find energizing versus draining? Which areas do you consistently feel confident in, and which do you consistently struggle with? Take stock of whether you have mastered the skills needed to succeed at your current level. Gaining this clarity will allow you to more intentionally seek out opportunities where you can leverage your strengths and also identify stretch projects you can use for growth and improvement. Also seek feedback from peers. Does your analysis of your strengths and weaknesses match theirs? What in their eyes sets you apart from others? What's important to you in the long term? The goal of this question is to help you identify your values and how they fit into your work. You need to understand this to create a development plan that will help you build a fulfilling career. Think about what you want to do next. What kind of role do you see yourself in 2 years from now? When you imagine this dream job, what are you willing to compromise on, and what is non-negotiable? Recall the tasks that you found most energizing. For example, you might realize that administrative tasks drain you and interacting with clients energizes you. How does this fit into your image of the future? How does it fit into your next role at your current organization? Perhaps being promoted into a role that includes more face time with clients is a non-negotiable, whereas administrative work is something you will need to negotiate or compromise on. This information will be valuable during your career conversation with your boss. Before moving on, as a last consideration, think about how your ambitions align with the mission or goals of your team and organization. If you can connect your future goals back to the goals of the company, you can present your manager with a more convincing argument for your growth. What does success look like to you? Success means different things to different people. An upward trajectory is just one version. Maybe, upon reflection, you've realized that you don't want to take on more responsibility or become a people manager. Maybe, to you, success involves more work-life balance and heads-down creative work. Define your version of success so that your manager understands your ambitions and can help you reach them. Request a meeting with your manager. A career conversation should not be folded into your weekly one-on-one or tagged onto your performance review. It should be a separate meeting specifically focused on discussing career growth. The frequency of these conversations will vary, but ideally, your manager should be open to holding them several times a year to allow for ongoing feedback, goal setting, and alignment, and discussion of new or upcoming career development opportunities. It's usually best to have them shortly after an annual or semi-annual performance review, when you've already spent time reflecting on your past work, and can now develop a forward-looking plan. When requesting a career conversation, be clear about the purpose of the meeting. Email your manager and suggest meeting at their convenience within the next week. giving them time to prepare. During the meeting, start on a positive note. Begin the conversation by expressing gratitude for the opportunity. You could say, "Thank you so much for meeting with me today. I really appreciate it. I'd like to use this time to discuss my career aspirations and, hopefully, come up with a development plan that will help me align my goals with our larger team goals and the goals of the company." Next, clearly articulate your insights from your self-reflection time. Explain where you see yourself currently, including the aspects of your role that you find fulfilling and those you would like to grow in, change, or develop in new ways. For instance, you might say, "I feel most fulfilled when I'm working with clients, and I think that my welcoming and clear communication style is a strength that sets me apart on the team." Move on to recapping your achievements and highlight how they have contributed to the success of your team or company. This will not only demonstrate your value, but also provide a foundation for the conversation around your growth. You could say, "Over the past year, I successfully led the X project, which resulted in a Y% increase in client engagement, contributing to the organizational goal of increasing client engagement by Z%. I believe this shows my potential to take on more challenging client-facing roles on our team and coach others on how to successfully do the same." Follow up by sharing what's important to you in the next stage of your career and how you see those changes contributing to your long-term growth. "As I grow at the company, I'd love to continue taking on more client-facing projects and eventually leading them. I see this as a way to further develop my communication skills and evolve as a people leader, which is a role I want to grow into." Finally, if there are development areas you want to acknowledge, don't ignore them. Instead, connect them back to the vision of the organization. You could add, "I know I still have more to learn about project management, and taking on more initiatives will allow me to do this. The company wants to increase our client outreach this year, so my growth would help contribute to that goal." Remember, your career goals should create a win-win situation for both you and the organization. Identify next steps. You've just given your manager a lot to think about, and it may take them some time to consider before responding. After making your case, follow up with something like, "I'm curious to hear your thoughts and feedback." In some cases, your manager may thank you for opening up the discussion and ask to revisit the conversation in a week, giving them more time to process and come up with a plan. In the best-case scenario, your manager will have come more prepared, with their own ideas about where they can see you growing. In this case, you can work together to develop next steps. Start by discussing the following areas. Understanding the opportunities available to you. Ask your manager what opportunities are available to you given your goals and aspirations. Do you need to learn new skills before moving up the ladder? If so, what are they, and how can you better demonstrate them? Do they feel you are ready to take on a stretch project? If there are no opportunities on your team, is there another team you could work with in order to grow? Navigating the processes and politics of the organization. Your manager is not the sole decision maker in most cases, especially when it comes to promotions. You need to understand how the organization works, including both processes and tactics, who the key influencers are, and how to raise your profile and be more visible to key people. Ask your boss, "Are there other people in the organization whose work I should be observing more closely? I would love to speak with them and learn how they've become successful here. How would you suggest I make my work and myself more visible?" Identifying and evaluating different options and opportunities. It's unlikely that you and your manager will put together an elaborate plan in this first meeting. Once your manager presents you with options, thank them for their insights. Then, let them know that you will think about what you discussed. Ask if you can take some time to outline a more tangible plan for them to review in a follow-up meeting. This will give you the space you need to reflect on the pros and cons of your discussion and propose a few solid next steps. After the meeting, draft a development plan. Take what you've learned and put together a plan that outlines next steps, including any new skills you need to acquire, any projects you've agreed to take on, and any important stakeholders you want to begin building relationships with. Remember, the best plans are most ambitious and realistic, pushing your boundaries while still being achievable. Use SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound goals so you can monitor your progress over time. While there will always be factors that are out of your control, it's useful to structure your plan using concrete milestones, even if they are subject to change. For instance, setting a goal like finishing the leadership training program within 6 months, or increasing client engagement by 10% in Q2 are more feasible than something unpredictable, like be promoted to people leader by fall of 2024. Follow up. Once you've outlined your goals and milestones, set up some time to review your plan with your manager. Try to do this no later than a week after that first meeting, so that the conversation is still top of mind. It can be helpful to send your manager your plan prior to your discussion to give them time to review it thoughtfully beforehand. Use your follow-up meeting to gather their feedback, make adjustments, and ensure that you're both aligned. Then ask if you can check in on how things are progressing, either in additional follow-up meetings or during your regular check-ins throughout the year. Career conversations are vital to your professional growth. By initiating them, you make your ambitions known, gain valuable feedback, and pave the way for a fulfilling career path. Prepare well, communicate clearly, and always be open to feedback. In doing so, you'll empower yourself to move forward, secure the knowledge you need to grow, and give your manager an opportunity to fully understand and support you on your journey. Quick recap. To advance in any role, you should proactively initiate a career planning conversation with your boss. In this meeting, you can show your interest in growth opportunities, ensure that your goals are aligned with the organization's, and develop a plan to set you up for success. Start with self-reflection to better understand where you are now and where you want to be in a few years. Request a meeting with your manager to specifically discuss your career growth. During the meeting, share your insights from your self-reflection. Highlight how your achievements have contributed to the success of your team or company. After the meeting, draft a forward-looking plan that outlines next steps and follow up with your manager. 2. 28 questions to ask your manager in your one-on-ones. By Stephen G. Rogelberg, Liana Kramer, and Sydney Meredith. When she started a new role, Brianna was told she would be having regular one-on-one meetings with her manager, Jaden. She welcomed this news. She saw it as a great opportunity to get aligned with and supported and mentored by her new boss. But her hopes were quickly dashed. In their initial meeting, Jaden focused only on project updates and then assigned her a few additional tasks. This pattern continued over the weeks, and Brianna routinely left their meetings feeling both micromanaged and unsupported in her development. This story is, sadly, a composite of many we have heard from employees in our research on one-on-ones between managers and their direct reports. Good one-on-one meetings address both the practical, information, instruction, alignment, and personal consideration, respect, trust, and support needs of the employee. These meetings are a critical source of growth and support for the employee and promote the thriving and success of teams and the broader organization. But these benefits are only realized when the meeting includes frequent conversations that address those employee needs. And as one-on-ones are typically facilitated by managers, they often devolve into addressing what is front of mind for them, rather than the employee. That's especially true because managers rarely receive training on how to run these meetings well, so they often recycle dysfunctional practices they themselves have experienced. If you are in Brianna's position, if your boss's approach to your one-on-ones has left you feeling unsupported and unheard, you should feel empowered to direct the conversation toward your needs yourself. You can do this by asking smart questions. Questions to ask. Based on published research, as well as data we collected from nearly 200 employees on important topics to broach in a one-on-one, we have identified 28 key questions in 7 broad categories to help you get the most value from your check-ins with your boss. You can use, adapt, and put these into your own voice as you see fit. Ask for guidance and input. Use these questions to get help from your manager on any tasks or projects you are having difficulty with, or to express your need for additional resources, input, or support. 1. I am having some challenges and struggles with X. Can you help me think about how to navigate and address X successfully? 2. Could you suggest any ideas and thoughts around how I could get more support, people, time, funding to help with Y? 3. What do you think of my idea Z? Do you have any suggestions for how to improve it? Or might you have an alternative idea I should consider? Clarify priorities and expectations. To be sure you are on track and working efficiently, make sure you and your manager are on the same page. Ask for clarification on what tasks need your most focused attention. 4. Given what's on my plate, what should I be prioritizing right now, and can you help me understand why? 5. As you review my workload, am I taking on the right projects and tasks? 6. Am I on track for meeting my goals and your expectations from your perspective? Is any refocusing necessary? 7. Is there any context I might be missing about the projects I'm working on? For example, what is the reasoning for doing Project X? Aligning with the organization and its strategy. Ask questions to understand how your role relates to the broader strategic goals of the organization and the way its leaders are thinking about the future. 8. What is going on further up the tree, or in other parts of the organization, that would be helpful for me to know as I work on my key tasks? 9. To better help me understand the big picture, how does the work I'm doing or the assignment you just gave me fit into the broader goals and strategy? 10. Is there anything that the management team is working on or considering that you think I should know about, given its potential impact on my role? 11. What is new in our strategic priorities as a company that you feel I should know about, if anything? Seek growth opportunities and career advancement. Come to the meeting with your thoughts, however inchoate, around your professional short-term and long-term goals, and ask your manager what steps you should take to get there. 12. I would value your counsel. What can I do to prepare myself for greater opportunities or to pursue X interest of mine? 13. As you reflect on where the organization is going, do you have any thoughts on how I should improve and develop to best align? 14. What strengths do you think I have, and how might they be helpful in the future? 15. From your perspective, what should I be targeting as my next career move, and why do you recommend that position? 16. How can we make sure that my skill set is put to the best use to support the team and the organization? 17. How can we make sure that my full potential is achieved? Get feedback on your performance. Check in with your manager to see how you are doing. You shouldn't make every meeting into an official performance evaluation, but it is important to periodically check in and calibrate if your manager isn't doing that themselves. 18. Am I meeting your expectations? I would really like to hear your perspective on my work performance. 19. What feedback might you be able to share with me about how I'm doing at X or Y task? 20. Do you feel there are any spots I'm overlooking when it comes to A or B? 21. As you reflect on what I do at work, what should I start, stop, or continue doing? Build a relationship. Your one-on-one is a critical place for you to build and nurture your relationship with your manager. Allocate time at the beginning or end of the meeting to connect with them personally.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?